This is not the only time this has happened. This has happened throughout history. What this marks to me is the end of the American Empire. That's what happened with the end of the Roman Empire. And what happened at the end of the Roman Empire, the leaders of Rome debased the currency. They were taking silver coins and gold coins, they were filing them and melting them and doing all these goofy things. They were fighting wars, we're still fighting wars that we couldn't afford, they couldn't afford. And they started taxing the worker. And back in Roman times, the worker was the farmer or the yeoman. And so the government, those fat asses up there, were just taxing the crap out of the worker. And pretty soon the worker says, why should I work? Because, I've got to just keep giving my money to the government. And pretty soon they call them Roman circuses, so they're the big coliseums, and they were feeding lions, people to lions and all that other stuff. Today we have the Super Bowl and the March Madness, and everything's the same. My concern is it is the end of the American Empire. When the thing crashed in 2020 in March, the debt went up and the GDP, the gross domestic product, went down. So we produced less, but we raised the debt up. So debt went up, GDP went down. And if this coronavirus comes back, which I think it will, we're bankrupt. Because once debt to GDP passes 90%, we're bankrupt. Today it's 115% debt to GDP in America. So we're already bankrupt. And so the UBI is no different than the Romans paying the Roman citizens to sit in the Coliseum and watch the Dallas Cowboys play the Green Bay Packers. Nothing really changes. People are that stupid, but they don't know. They really don't know. Our Federal Reserve Bank, our Treasury, and our government has messed up the US dollar so much that they have to find a way to keep people happy. And so they want to just, quote unquote, print money, which they are doing. Just remember this, that money comes from production. And when we pay people not to produce, which is PPP and all that, we're just paying them not to revolt. And that's what happened during the Roman times. We're talking about, don't fight the government, don't fight the Fed, don't fight politics. If they're going to give me $1,000, I'll take it, but I would convert it into either gold, silver, or Bitcoin. The more the government pay, and this is globally, it's not just the US, or it's not a racial thing. They're just paying everybody not to work today because the monetary system is coming apart. But you've got to be smarter than the government, which is not that hard to do. And it's just coming apart right now. When the Fed talks about stimulus checks, well, the only people that get rich are Bezos and Zuckerberg. They got all that money for free. The Federal Reserve Bank is a socialist or a communist organization, but they'll never tell you that. When I was about 25 years old, I started studying this stuff. And the more I studied, the more I felt I needed a shower. They were just lying to us. When the market crashed in March of 2020, only 16% of the teachers, firefighters, and police officers' pension was funded, 16%. So they had $16 for every 100 they owed. Now it's down to 6. They're broke. So they're covering all of this up. So they want to bring UBI in so they can just mass produce money. They're going to pay people not to work so they can escape. So for your generation, it really is to get outside of what mainstream media says is the right way to think, and think for yourselves. You have more power today with that iPhone than any other generation in history. That iPhone, I think it was 2007 or 2009 it came out. Man, you guys have so much power to be the best entrepreneurs in the world. And it only costs about $1,000 for an iPhone. Your generation, with that iPhone, become an entrepreneur. You don't need the job security, nothing wrong with it, but you don't want to need it. And you don't need the UBI. You don't need the paycheck. If you can get off of needing that paycheck, you're free. You can make your own money. That's the difference.